Inside Saluki Athletics, presented by Paulie Eyes of Carbondale, the official coaches show of Saluki Athletics. Now, here is the voice of the Salukis, Luke Martin.
Fresh off a win last night at Edwardsville, it's head coach Lance Rhodes to start off here on Inside Saluki Athletics, presented by Paulie Eyes of Carbondale. We have Matt Schark coming up on the show. Coach Gehrig Spradlin will join us. Cade, Nelis, and Jaxon Holder. It's going to be a fun weekend. This weekend at Itchy Jones Stadium, with it being senior weekend. Coach, congrats on the win last night. Before I actually get to your team, as we talk right now, Saluki softball is in the midst of the Valley Tournament. They're, of course, off another regular season championship. I know you can kind of get entrenched in your own seasons, but I know there's a lot of watching and supporting what they're doing, and you guys couldn't be more proud of what Coach Sewell and her group was able to do this year and win another regular season title. And we're all anxiously watching how they perform in the conference tournament this week.
Yeah, I mean, just hoping they'll go out and get it done in the tournament. And, you know, theirs is different than ours, where you don't have any wiggle room to lose, and that makes the pressure even tougher there. But, you know, you talk about like a resilient group. To get off to the start that they got off to and to do what they did is honestly like amazing to see. There's probably not many teams in the country that can get off to I think it was like a 1-12 or whatever start it was, and to win a title in a good league is incredibly impressive. And, you know, they've set the standard around here. You look at, you know, all the sports on our campus. I mean, especially us because we're a spring sport, so we obviously follow them pretty closely. But, you know, you look at what they've been able to do as far as, you know, winning at such a high level, getting into the postseason. You know, you just look across the road, and that's where we're trying to get to as a program. The things that they're able to do is exactly what we want to be able to do.
And what's neat to see what they've done this year is, yes, the tough start, the 1-12 start to start off the year against a really difficult schedule, but you still have Jackie, you still have Emma, you have Anna. Like, you have players who have been around, but brand new pitching staff, a lot of young pitchers that have had to come in and play, some key injuries that they've had to deal with, and yet they still push through and find a way to win a title. That, of course, is what everybody strives for and what you guys are striving for here down the stretch of your season.
For sure. And, you know, you kind of look at their makeup. It's, you know, they got their superstars on their team that have played really well. And, you know, at the beginning of the year, I don't know all the details of it. I haven't followed it, like, deep inside of it. But, you know, it kind of looked like they were finding their, like, how do we, you know, put our pitching rotation together? And then they found it, and then they kind of got off to, you know, a really string of wins there. So, yeah, it's just awesome to see, man. Like, anytime you can, you know, look at a team and just see what they did, like, you want to be able to resemble that. And, you know, it'll be really cool. Like, you got two spring sports that have a chance to win a championship, and it would be awesome if we did it in the same year.
And that's what makes it so much fun to come to the ballpark, is when you get to this time of year. We talked about this, it may have been last week or a couple weeks ago, where, look, there are some teams that head to the ballpark this time of year, and they're going, there's only a certain amount of days left. Like, kind of that eagerness towards the line. With this group, it's here we go. I mean, it's ready to roll. Your group last night, great example. You get into a lightning delay. It's a close game. You come out of it, and, of course, then it really starts to rain and not great conditions. Yet you push through and you win a game 5-1. You lose a heartbreaker on Sunday in game one of a doubleheader. You turn right around and win emphatically. Your group right now, Coach Rhodes, just seems like, man, they just love to be at the park, and just whatever opportunity they have that's next, they're going to seize it.
Yeah, it's a group that, you know, I don't think they want it to be done. And that's a great feeling because, like you said, there's times where there's teams that are counting down to summer ball. And, you know, I think our guys are just enjoying, you know, the moment and enjoying the fact that we're in a good position. I mean, we've been kind of hanging on the background a little bit in second, third place, but we're right there. I mean, there's a lot of games left. I mean, 6 big games for a lot of teams across the league. And there could be, you know, some major changes from really top to bottom of our standings over these next 6 games. And the good thing is like it's in our hands, and that's an awesome feeling that we can control everything by winning the games that we need to win. And But yeah, it's just it's awesome when you can show up to the ballpark and there's a meaning for every game, every inning that you're playing.
Look, it's a results-driven business. We've talked about that for years, and even when Mike was here prior to me, I know he had many conversations with you about that, being results-driven. And when you lose a series like you do against Murray State, it stinks. That was a series that all of you guys wanted, but it was a rare feeling, Coach Rhodes, coming away from it where I truly believe that there were positives. And, like, your team left that weekend going, I like the direction we're going in. And part of it is how you flip that game, the first game of that doubleheader, which a little bit of a slow start, which has been typical at times with this group, but it literally took a 100-mile rocket shot that is 2 inches a little bit more to either side. You probably clear those bases, and it's a completely different feeling going into that third game where it was literally a line shot at Gardner, and because of his body and his momentum, he's able to just tag the bag and get Matt Samay out. That is the game of baseball, how it can be so minute. But my long-winded ramble here is just to say I truly left Murray, Kentucky this past weekend going, still in a good spot and like the direction your team's going in. Did you feel that way too, despite, look, none of us were happy that you didn't win the series, but how the series kind of transpired, you really do feel good about your group moving forward.
Yeah, and I think that's what's so special about winning the regular season is because you've done it for the longevity of the season. And I think that's one thing that kind of opened my eyes whenever I was in the SEC. There's weekends where you get swept. Like, I mean, you look at Texas. Texas went to Arkansas this past weekend, number one team in the country, lost all 3 games. And when you play really good teams, sometimes you just come out on the losing end of it. And I don't necessarily think that we played bad on the Sunday game 1. We just happened to hit a ball that didn't get through. And if that ball sneaks through, you know, we're even got a better tone because we probably win 2 out of 3 right there. And that's the thing where you just can't let those weekends when you play really good teams and you happen to lose it trickle into the next game or the next series because you just got to rebound. And the quicker you can rebound and get back to winning a series or sweeping a series, you look up at the end of it and your overall wins and losses are where you want it to be. And it's the times, the teams, and the coaches that just let it just linger. That's when you get in trouble. And that was what we were trying to, you know, the message on Sunday game 2 was just, man, like, even though it's just 1 and we're not going to feel great walking onto the bus with 1 win, 1 is a heck of a lot better than 0 because it gets you that much closer to winning the league. And that's what I was proud about our guys, be able to bounce back and get that 1 win.
Within this group this year, and it's a testament, and of course you want to keep this up here going towards the end of the season, you go all the way back to the beginning. You have not been a team that's gotten swept this year. And even on doubleheader days, when you've played 2 games on a day, most of the time you've won both of them, but you've not even been swept on doubleheader days. That has to be an overwhelming positive sign with your group in terms of the competitive factor. And a lot of those games on doubleheaders have gone extra innings. I mean, I think back to UIC, 20 innings in one day. I mean, it doesn't matter whichever way, shape, or form, your group has been motivated and has really performed well on those days, the doubleheader dogs.
Yeah, it's you know, it's kind of like every season almost seems like there's a theme to it, right? And this year it's just like gritty, tough games. And a lot of it has to do with, you know, we haven't scored a ton early, but we've been really tough in the middle and to the end of the games. And I still think we haven't just hit our stride as a complete package yet. We've either pitched extremely well and our offense has been kind of up and down, or our offense has been really good and our pitching's been up and down. And I still, you know, have those expectations that here before too long, you know, hopefully starting this weekend, like, we're going to put it all together. And, you know, if we can just click at the right time, pitching, defense, offense, and I know that's asking a lot to play, you know, great in all areas of the game, but when you look at the teams that have made runs and made, you know, championship runs and got into regionals, at the right time of the season, they just find a way to put it all together. And there's nothing that says that our team isn't capable of doing that. And, we've got the ability on the mound. We've got the ability defensively. We've got the ability on the offensive side. And we just need to embrace the challenge of what we're up against. I mean, it's a challenge. I mean, we have to win all 6 games in order for us to probably win a league championship. And to win 6 in a row is always a tough thing. But, we've got to attack it in the right way, not looking at all 6 games, but just one game, and we can do it. And that's what I think is exciting is that we have to have a belief. I truly believe as a coach, and I know our coaching staff thinks we can get it done. I think you and everybody else associated with our program thinks we can get it done. And I think our players, when we show up to the field, if we've got that belief, I think they can do it.
Key part of that, and when I phrase this question, it somewhat maybe comes across as a negative tone, but getting Alec Niggett back to early season Alec Niggett. Thought through the first inning on Friday at Murray, here we go. Got the backwards Cade to start off, I think 9 pitches through the first inning. Felt this is going to be the resurgence needed. I know that ultimately didn't happen. The confidence level you guys still have in him, what is kind of the, I don't want to say challenge right now for him, but what does he have to fight through to get back to that level that he was at prior to taking that line drive off of his throwing hand, which we've documented plenty of times here on the show with him?
Yeah, I mean, he's just in that situation, and we actually talked to him a couple of days ago when he was throwing his bullpen. Prior to that injury happening, all fall, all spring, in the first 5 or 6 starts, like he felt so good about his work that he'd put in, his preparation, that when he went into the season, like he just expected good results to happen. And they were happening, and he was in, this mindset of like, I truly believe when I throw the ball to the plate, I'm going to get that hitter out. And then once he got hit by that line drive, he missed the start, whatever happened, he comes back. He wasn't as sharp that first outing, and it kind of trickled in the second, then he started getting hit a little bit. And then the last couple outings, it's been more of like, I hope I get this hitter out. And what we're trying, my message to him is the guy that's standing in the box, if he's hoping that he's going to get hit against him, you got a pretty good chance that you might get him out. But you get the elite hitters in our league that are in there that are thinking, I'm going to hit this guy. If he's thinking he's going to hit you and you have a hope that you're going to get him out, it ain't going to work. And it's tough to have, it's just, you can't just say, hey, go out there and have confidence. Like, confidence comes by success. But the success comes through your work ethic, the preparation that you've done, and then you go out and you rely on your preparation, and you have good results because of that. And my thing is if you've done everything, if you've done everything that you can to put yourself in a position to be successful, then you just got to go out and you got to believe that you're going to get it done. And we wouldn't put you out there as coaches if we didn't believe that you could do it. So, hopefully he can just get back to that mindset of, like, when he throws the ball, like, he knows it's going to get the hitter out because he's done everything in practice and his bullpens and his, in the weight room that's put him in a position to be able to get people out. And once you get back to that mindset, good things can happen. Good
news is you got Caleb Hall back last night. He's a huge piece in terms of wanting to get that bat in your lineup, and also from a defensive perspective. How are just in terms of your health with this team overall, do you feel like you're getting in a better spot here as you get towards down the stretch where you could get some added pieces here and get reloaded for, of course, the most important games of the year?
Yeah, having Caleb back was nice to see him in the lineup. He's still with a little bit of restriction as far as not being able to fully go out and play outfield and run around. But it was nice. I mean, he hit a really good single. He looks good in the box and running down the line. He's running better than we expected him to run at this point. And I could see him being in the outfield sooner than later. Meade is on track to hopefully get back, shortly. It's probably not going to be just throw him out there and throw 5 or 6 innings. But, any inning or 2 or 3 that you can subtract from a weekend is a good thing. So, hopefully we can get him back in some capacity over the next week and a half. And then the other ones are still kind of a long shot. But, just adding those 2 pieces back would be a big addition.
And as you say, I mean, when you look at a weekend, and even I know right now your mindset may not be totally on, even when you look at a conference tournament, sometimes just 1 inning, 2 innings are a big deal. So just chewing that up, no doubt, will be huge for this team. Jaxon Payne seems like he is continuing to pitch at a really high level. Al Holguin as well with another really strong start against Murray to close out that series. That has to be uplifting for you, that even though we've talked about Alec and you want to get him back, man, if you can get him to the early season self mixed in with those guys and Meade getting healthy, all of a sudden, Coach Rhodes, you got a really good dynamic there within guys who can give you quality starts when needed.
Yeah, I think it's been a cool thing within the whole group this year. It's like every single time we try to like focus on a guy, it's somebody else that does something.
Yeah.
And then you focus on that guy for a little bit, and then somebody. It's like it's constantly new people throughout the year that have done good things that have kept us to the level of winning that we want to be at. And that's awesome. And all those guys have had moments to show why they're in the rotation right now, and we feel good with all three of those guys going out there and being able to get people out at a high level. And the cool thing is like we never know who's going to step up out of the bullpen. We've had guys, you look at last night, for example, Harpino going 2 innings, Gehrig going 2 innings. We went into last night's game knowing that we weren't going to throw Gavin, knowing that we weren't going to throw Petrie, just because we were playing on Wednesday with the short turnaround for Friday, and looking at the structure of Evansville's lineup with so many left-handed hitters. We just wanted to make sure we had all the parts ready to go on Friday to be ready to match up however we needed to, but we needed some guys to step up big time, and that's been the case all year. So that's a lot of credit to our players.
This senior class, Matt Schark kind of leads the way. Jackson Holders had a magical last year, and even guys down the line like Cade and Nelis, who we have on the show, have been big parts in terms of your dugout chemistry and how that dugout is confident throughout games. What has this senior class kind of embodied for you, and when you think of them, these are the things that come to your mind?
I think the thing that's very appreciative from my seat, and I know our coaches would say the same thing, is I think they truly want our program to do something that hasn't been done in a long time. And I think they'll sacrifice playing time. They'll sacrifice, whatever they got to do in order for this team to win games, for this team to win our league, for this team to get into the postseason. I truly think that they really, really want that for, obviously themselves, they want to be able to experience that, but I think they just really want it for our program, knowing that it's been such a long time, and they're just great people that are willing to have success as a team more than they are worried about their individual success. And that goes for the players that are playing every single day, and it also goes to players like Cade Nelis, who is just an unbelievable teammate, and he does everything to the best of his ability to stay ready whenever we give him an opportunity. And whenever we don't give him opportunities, you wouldn't know if he's in the starting lineup or if he's not in the starting lineup, but an attitude that he brings every single day. And I could say that for every single person that's in our dugout that either plays every day or doesn't play every day. I mean, we don't have guys that feel entitled because they get, their name in the lineup all the time, and we don't have guys that are on the bench that are bringing negative, attitudes to the game because they're not playing. I mean, it's a unique situation, honestly, because you just don't get that, all the time with teams.
What I like about it is your group's personality. I take this as an example. When I came out to practice the other day, Coach Tribby told the pitching staff, hey, if you guys can rob a home run ball, hey, whenever that happens, one, I will end practice for you, but you got to have a really good celebration with it. Now, there's been some controversy around it. Cole Kuntz, I believe, is the one who got a grab near the wall, but probably had a little bit of extra theatrics on the end to kind of sell it. I'm a little disappointed that Coach Trivia allowed that one to count, by the way. I thought the head coach should have interjected there. I'm just saying.
Yeah, it's the Cardinal fans in the area probably appreciate this, but it was kind of like a Jim Edmonds dive. If you remember back in the day when Edmonds, he was great at being able to catch and jump and dive and make it look like a really good play. And that was kind of like that. He got it to the wall and he kind of catches and pushes over, but hey, those pitchers, man, when they can get out of practice early, they're going to try to do it.
Well, and I'll tell you what I loved too was Tim Samay didn't like it at all, and he made sure that he chirped a little bit towards the pitching staff as well. But you got to, I mean, like when you're around really good teams, that has to be a part of it. And I do bring that up to try to give our fans and those a little bit of insight, but like that's every day with your group. Man, I'm not at practice all the time, but like that's what has to make it so much fun to be around. The results no doubt play a part of it, but the reason you're getting the results is because of what has been created each and every day within the group.
Yeah, and you see those conversations on the bus rides. You see those conversations at practice, and the way that I would describe it to the people that are listening. When you have like brothers that are constantly bickering and fighting and doing things with each other and saying stuff. Like you got to be able to say it, you got to be able to take it, and it's all in fun in games, and that's just kind of the way the group is. It's just a bunch of brothers that are, they're able to talk it a little bit, and they can take it a little bit, and I'm sure some can take it and talk it a little bit better than others. But yeah, I think they have just a really good time being around each other.
Coach G, we're going to get him here on the show before we wrap up and talk about Evansville. We have hinted at throughout. We had JC on last week of, man, when your schedules change, maybe it's not so much an inconvenience or frustration for coaches and players, but it can become that if those people in those specific roles aren't really good at what they do. What have you really enjoyed about Coach G, who took over for a guy in Cody Cleveland, who, of course, was a former player for you here, of how he's really filled that role seamlessly and been a really big part of the staff this year?
Yeah, I mean, he's got such a good future ahead of him. I mean, he's a tremendous strength coach, and anytime you're at a position like ours where that strength coach changes on a couple year basis, depending on how long they're here, you kind of just don't know what you're getting into, right? A lot of times we're having younger guys that are just getting into it, and the thing that's been awesome with Gehrig is coming into it, we, as our coaches, knew some people that he had been associated with and just had great things to say about him. And I haven't had to babysit him one time. I am truly confident in his ability to lead our, group from the strength and conditioning side of it. He's very aggressive on he wants to do everything that he possibly can in order to make sure our guys are healthy, strong as possible. They move as well as they possibly can. He's very baseball specific, and he just does a tremendous job, honestly, man. Like, if you just take the age out of it and the experience out of it, I mean, he's as good as it gets, and he's got a personality that he can relate to our guys. I think when it's business, and it's also he can sit there and joke and cut up with them, and I think there's a good balance between, the professional relationship that you got to have with our players, and especially it's even tougher for him because he's such, he's so close to their age,
yeah.
And to be able to do what he does as far as being able to have the respect from our guys is tremendous, and I've been super proud of just everything that he's done. And our guys, I mean, you look at them, we look the part when we get off the bus. I mean,
yeah.
We look good, we're strong. And, a lot of the results that we do on the field, that you look at all the home runs, the amount of innings that some of the guys have logged in, and, that's not possible if we don't have a good strength coach.
Let's get to Evansville. This is a team this year where at times they have shown that ability to come back late in games. I think their Indiana State series was just really entertaining. They, of course, won that series back in Evansville. They no doubt have had a lot of injuries to their pitching staff. I know that's been a frustration for Coach Carroll this year. But again, this is a program that lost a lot from a team a year prior. that took Tennessee absolutely toe-to-toe in a super regional and was so close to getting to a College World Series. I know your respect level for Coach Carroll is extremely high, and even though that injury bug has bitten them this year, it's an offense that can heat up, and you have to take very seriously because they could score a lot of runs very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, and there's no easy weekend at this point. You know, we're trying to win the league. They're trying to, stay there in the tournament. And, you just can't – and they've beaten teams at the top of our league, at Missouri State.
Yep.
They've also lost games that I'm sure they think they shouldn't have lost. And I think it's just one of those teams where there's not much difference. Even though their win-loss record isn't great, there's just not much difference between, the talent level that they have and ours. So it's not like we're just going to roll out there and we're just going to automatically win. Like, we're going to have to play really good baseball. They've gotten some proven starters in our league that have had success. They're not having a ton of success at the moment, but they can, on any given start, throw the ball extremely well. And like you said, they have an offense that if you give them a chance to get rolling, they can score a ton of runs. So it's a thing where we're going to have to play really good. And that's okay because we're at the point of our season where we need to play good for an extended period of time. It doesn't need to be these ebbs and flows of, hey, we're really high and we're really low. We need to start getting consistent at the top of our game. And I think whenever you get into a window of, 6-7 games plus, 3, 4, 5 in the tournament, like you can shrink it down and we can get consistent. And, hopefully that's the case where not necessarily worrying about what Evansville does, but just how we play. And I truly think if we play at a high level, we'll be in a good spot.
Senior weekend in Carbondale. It's going to be a lot of fun. 6 o'clock on Friday, 6 o'clock on Saturday. So two night games.
Yeah.
Close it out with an early game on Sunday.
It'll be cool having that Saturday game. Just we wanted to try to let all the graduation stuff get through, kind of let that distraction kind of fade through in the morning, early afternoon. And then be at the ballpark on Saturday night. And also, hopefully there's a lot of families and students that are going through graduation that are hanging around, want something to do, come out and watch a ball game.
And I feel really happy about saying this with you. We don't have to worry about any darn weather this weekend. I mean, it's about time where we can have, like, it's like 10% chance added to 3 days. Like, it's about time.
I think we're good, but I also thought we were going to be good on Tuesday, and then we roll in there, and it wasn't so good. So,
all right, well, if some sort of pop-up storm cloud happens, just give a death stare into the TV booth there in the Mike Reese press box. Coach, appreciate the time. Really excited for this weekend. It's going to be a fun one at Itchy Jones. Thanks so much for stopping on by.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Once again, that was head coach Lance Rhodes. We'll take a timeout. When we come back, Matt Schark starts off our senior interviews on Inside Saluki Athletics. There's no one better to start off the senior show edition than Matt Schark here for Saluki Baseball. This is Inside Saluki Athletics presented by Poly Eyes of Carbondale. Matt Schark, welcome to the show, man. It's good to have you on.
Yeah, good morning. Thanks for having me.
Senior weekend, man. When you hear that, what are your emotions like heading into this weekend?
It's been a long time, man. I was supposed to have this last year, but unfortunately got hurt. But I'm glad to be back, and I'm very excited for this weekend.
There are so many records that we can talk about with you, Matt, and how you play, of course, down the year. Those will continue to come to the forefront. But let's throw records. Let's just throw the stats and all that out the window. What have you enjoyed most about just being a Saluki and being a part of this program?
Just day in and day out, I get, the same from all the guys. Coach Jake Ryan never changes. He's never in a bad mood. You could talk to all the coaches. I just love being around all the guys, all the coaches at the field. And I mean, I could see myself doing this the rest of my life, but unfortunately, that's not how it works.
Yeah. Well, then we'd love for you to keep doing it the rest of your life. Then all of a sudden, those career record numbers would definitely, be
skyrocket.
would be in all Sharks' corner. mentioned, of course, the toughness of last year. We talked about that heading into the year, but now you've been playing. Describe the level of, and I hate to just use a basic word, but how much fun has this year been for you?
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. We've had some good teams the past 2 years, but really seeing this group come together and have as much success as it had, it's been really fun to enjoy the process. Moving around the infield like I have myself has been, a little different, and I had some struggles here and there, but I'm still having fun through it. And all the guys, they have my back and I have their back. I've just enjoyed it.
Thought over the weekend, Schark, was one of your best defensive performances of the year, and I think that factors in, of course, on the surface that you're playing on there at Murray. But even as the year's gone on, you've seen yourself gain the confidence level there at third. How much of a challenge has it been to learn that position and to play it at a high level?
Yeah, it's definitely been a challenge to learn. Like last night, it was pouring rain, and I had to start spiking the ball to Bobo because I didn't have a grip on the ball, or else I would have thrown it over their first base fence. It would have been everyone was having trouble. But just learning like ins and outs, so like that, learning how to throw the ball like with backspin to carry it, and learning kind of like the footwork because it was just the opposite of what I was used to. It was definitely a challenge, but I'm getting more comfortable over there. Yeah.
Have you enjoyed that position this year? And even though, of course, hey, it's always challenges learning a new position, but for sure as you look at this self and where you're looking at your career after Southern Illinois, that's only going to help you and become more marketable.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it. Yeah, it's something new, and I've been playing first base for like 10 years now, but going over there, it's been a lot of fun.
What's been an area of your game this year, Schark, that you were like, I want to clean up, I want to make it a strength, and now as we sit here in early May, it's become a strength of yours? What's an area that was a big focus of yours heading into the year?
I wanted to have a better approach at the plate personally. Like in 2023, I hit 270. I don't know, something like that. I didn't have a good year. I didn't have a good start, and I wanted to have a better plate approach going into the year. Wanted to swing at the more right pitches, and obviously, there's going to be games where, I swing and miss. I have bad games, but I wanted to limit those games as much as possible so that I can have the best outcome for my team. And I think I've done a lot better this year.
It's a question everybody gets asked when you play this sport, Schark, of dealing with failure and having to bounce back. What I love about you most is just the personality that you have. And whether it is a great day at the yard for you personally or a tough day, you're still the same. How do you wire yourself that way of, even when the highs can be pretty high, and you've had way more highs than you've had the opposite, but to stay that same even keel personality that you are?
Being an older guy, I like to be more mature. And, there is you can ask them. There's moments where I get angry, but I try to keep it to a minimum. I try to keep it for a small period of time and not let it go back out on the defensive side. I was told, like, even if you're doing bad, you still got to dance in the field. You still got to be able to do everything you can on defense and not bring your offensive at-bats out there. So just kind of being more mature and try not to limit that at-bat to go throughout the game so it doesn't affect the rest of your play. And I think that's a big area that I've improved in, and I'd like to see myself probably be a little better at, but yeah, definitely.
When you hear yourself a part of some of these lists and that get publicized, right now you're just worried about the team winning and competing for a championship. That's number one on your plate. But what does it mean when you hear your name on all-time home runs list, most home runs in a season, you're climbing up RBI in a season? Like, what gratitude do you take of, wow, like, you see some of the names that are on these lists that have been some of the great players through the history of this program, and now your name's right in there with them.
It's definitely cool to see. And, like, the thing about, like, home runs, it's cool to see, but I can't try to go for that. Because if I try to go for that, it's not going to happen. Hitting home runs is just like a result of hitting good pitches for the hitter to hit. And that's something I can't really focus on, but it's definitely cool to see that and RBIs, And I got people like Steve Loden's on that list, and he texted me. He's like, hey, man, go get it. And I'm like, awesome. And, Holder said JT was talking about it. It's just cool to see guys from that list kind of, they're out here supporting us still. And it's, Alumni Weekend was a couple weeks ago. We saw a lot of people out there. It's just a great culture around here.
Your first year here, of course, was 23, so that was after winning the regular season championship in 22. I know that's always been an expectation for this group, and it is still well within your reach here as you enter the final 2 weeks of the season. I know the ultimate goal for everybody is to get back to a regional. Will be the first time for the program since 1990. I know it's a day-by-day approach with you, Schark, but you're a senior leader. When people think of Saluki Baseball right now, you're arguably probably the first name that they think of. How much do you think of that's important for me? Like before the last time I want to wear this jersey is in a regional. How much does that weigh on you? How much do you think about that? And maybe not so much think about it. How much does that drive you every day to work towards that goal?
That's something, yeah, that's definitely something we're all looking forward to. That's the big goal. Beginning this season, like what does Coach ask for? Like what do we want out of the season? And obviously we want to make a regional. That's goal number one. And we don't have a lot of that experience. Jaxon Holder may be the only guy that's been in that situation, and having him talk about it and like hearing how it's like, it's something that we definitely want. We're definitely striving for.
When you have a team that's made up of a lot of transfers, not everybody has the shared experience with each other, but man, this team this year has just had a chemistry about them. But when you think of the seniors that will be honored with you this weekend, what will you guys take collectively as a group? What have you enjoyed about this group of seniors, Schark?
We've really come together as a group. Like, I haven't had like this much team chemistry on a team before. Like it's like guys from like Alec Niggett to Andrew Yusupchuk. They really like all these guys kind of bring the group together. Whether it's guys who are a little more quiet, like Christian Spradlin in the beginning, he was a little more quiet, and we kind of broke him out of the shell. Unfortunately, he got hurt, but it's fun to see like kind of how that process goes and everyone get more comfortable with each other. No one's like dodging people at the field because they don't know like how they're gonna act, and it's really just been. I really enjoyed the process with all these guys throughout the year.
This team has shown the ability. It's been a question that I've asked a lot of you guys throughout the year and just being around you. Even for guys like me, man, that first game at Murray State, or I should say the first game of the doubleheader on Sunday, you lose in that way, and it's like, man, how can you get past such a gut-wrenching feeling? Yet you guys do. How does this team do that, Schark? Whether, again, it's just that perseverance factor that this team has shown throughout the year.
Yeah, after that first game, Coach kind of brought us together and was like, listen, I know the outcome's not what we wanted, but this next game really matters. It's going to matter in the long run. The MVC polls are pretty close right now. I think there's a couple, like we're 2 games behind the first, but there's people trailing us too. But we know like every game matters, and we can't just go off our feelings from the last game because we were right there. We had Matt Sumay on third base. Mike hits a 100-mile-per-hour line drive, and the third baseman just makes a good play. We're that close to that win, and it's unfortunate, but we can't let those feelings affect us in that game and weeks later on, because I've seen that happen in the past. Just because one series goes bad doesn't mean we need to just crumble and fall. We just need to keep going. We can't let that affect us.
We're going to have him on the show later, and Coach G is going to be a part of the show today.
Yeah, there we go.
And have you taken part in the MLB name game against Coach G? I've heard he's really, really good at it.
I played like one time, not really into it, but
so I'm guessing it did not go well for you, Schark. That's why you're not into it.
I never really play. I kind of just went at the end. Once they're all done with names, I'm like, I still got a couple that I know of, but I've seen that game go on for hours before, so that's that's not really my area.
You're kind of a quick game guy, but then you play golf, so like golf can go on forever, but you win at golf.
Yeah,
I think that may be the issue.
Yes,
it's the winning part.
The winning part, yeah.
Okay, well, and we'll get into the golf part here in a moment. But for Coach G, that's a role that sometimes may get overlooked. We had JC, of course, on the show last week. Those guys are huge parts of the program and how they work with you guys. What have you enjoyed about getting to know Coach G and how big he's been this year for you?
Yeah, I love Coach G, weightlifter G, but he has experience from different levels. So he was at West Virginia, and he got to work with guys like J.J. Weatherhill, who's on my St. Louis Cardinals, of course. But And he was at Clemson this summer, and he just gets to see these high-level programs and how they work. And he was able to bring it here. And like last year, Cody Cleveland, I love Cody Cleveland, but he had a different opportunity that he took. But G's really stepped in and done a great job. And it's kind of a lose-lose situation for whatever he does. A lot of people, not everyone's going to be satisfied, but he's done a great job. He's also our food guy. He gets all of our food on the road, and you can't please everybody, but he's doing a great job.
What's been the best food spot so far this year?
I'm a big Olive Garden on Olive Garden on Thursday night. That's my go-to.
That's your go-to.
Yeah.
Which, hey, it's Thursday night, so I know where you're going to be.
There we go.
You're going to be at Olive Garden there in Marion, Sharky. Let's bring up the golf game. Okay,
Yeah.
So Jaxon Holder, who will be on the show later after you. I have heard that there's been some pretty intense games that the tandem, whether it's at practice, you and my lot have formed a really good team. One, is that true? And two, how did this partnership really become a thing?
Mike's never really golfed a ton before, but he got into it this year, and we just started playing, and Jaxon Holder and Gabe Petrucelli are pretty good friends, and they go golfing, and me and Mike heard about it, and we're like, we gotta go at them, and then so we scrambled twice against them, and so far me and Mike have won by like 1 stroke or 2 strokes, but it's close. We're 2-0 against them, and Mike's got that 3-wood and the 8-iron working, and if that 3-wood, he hits it dead straight, 150 to 200 every single time. So hey, it'll work.
What do you bring to the tandem? Like, what's the best part of your golf game? I'm kind of curious.
I have a pretty good driver right now.
Shocker.
When I hit it straight, most of the time I hit it straight, but sometimes I get a little too excited. Try to get into it, doesn't work. And anytime if I'm like, maybe I should go 3-wood, Mike's like, no, you gotta go driver. I don't care, man. And I'm like, all right, let's do it.
Short game, is that kind of where Michael comes in?
Mike's a good putter, yeah.
Okay.
Me, I'm kind of on and off with my chipping, but Mike on the green is locked down, yeah.
Hey, you got to have a great tandem. And I figure it's probably just you and my lot, right? Like, you're not going to try to play golf with anybody else, another partner. Like, if it's going to be a tandem, someone's going to have to knock off the my lot Schark
Definitely.
duo. Has anyone come, like, I think I heard the other day, apparently you guys are 3-0?
We're 3-0. We beat Mason. So Mason Schwalbach's pretty good. We beat him by himself. But we also beat Jordan and Caleb Hall one day. Well, that was a couple months ago. We went into a playoff hole.
Oh.
We played 19, and me and Mike birdied it, so we won. Yeah.
These are some intense. Like, I think I may need to come out just for a round and just commentate it the whole time. It sounds like it'd be pretty entertaining.
We're having a good time, but those last 3 holes, we're like, dang, it's only a one stroke right here, man.
Senior weekend, as we alluded to, Schark, which means it's your last opportunity to play at Itchy Jones Stadium this weekend. Just for Saluki Nation listening, those who will come out and watch you play this weekend, just what would be just your message to them? What it would mean for you to see them to come out this weekend and have an important final weekend here at home against Evansville before you guys hit the road to Valpo?
Yeah, it's definitely a special feeling this weekend. I love seeing everyone out on the hill. Love seeing the dog pound who came out last night to SIUE and stuck out the whole game. That's awesome. That was awesome to see. And, it would just be great if we could really pack the hill this weekend and get everybody out there. I got my family, got my girlfriend coming. I'm excited for the weekend, and I hope it goes well.
Well, Schark, we're all proud of you and what you've done in a Saluki uniform to this point. But what's best is what's yet to come for you and the team this year. Appreciate you coming on the show, man. Appreciate the time.
Thanks for having me.
Once again, that was Matt Schark. We're going to take a timeout. When we come back, Coach G joins us here on Inside Saluki Athletics. We continue this episode of Inside Saluki Athletics, presented by Poly Eyes of Carbondale, getting to know the Saluki Baseball staff. We've almost got everybody. I guess we're saving some of the best for last. We're now going to welcome on the show none other than the strength coach in his first year here at the Salukis. He's known by Coach G, Gehrig Spradlin joins us. Gehrig, thanks so much for the time, man. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
What's year one been like with the dogs so far, G?
It's been good so far, man. Love being in Carbondale. Love being around the guys, around the coaching staff. Definitely ready to go. Ready to go for the end of the year, get it going.
Of course, the end of the year is here. It's hard to believe where you start at the beginning of the year. You got all these games, and you're like, man, this is going to take a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And in a blink of an eye, you're in the month of May. We'll get into kind of your role now and how you set the guys up, but tell Saluki Nation a little bit about back when you were at Limestone. You, of course, have played this game before baseball. Baseball's been a big part of your life.
Mm-hmm.
How did you ultimately come to like, hey, like strength and conditioning is what I want to do with my career?
Yeah, like you mentioned, it kind of started at Limestone. I was a Division II pitcher. I played for 5 years, played during COVID, so I got an extra fifth year. That's kind of really where it started. I started my strength conditioning journey. I had a really good strength coach in college, Kurt Lamb. Great mentor to me. I interned for him over the summer, my junior year, I believe. Learned kind of everything, like the basics of strength conditioning, how everything's supposed to be run. Obviously, he was my coach as well too. So as I was lifting and training as an athlete, he kind of helped me through things that I was struggling with at the time. And then after Limestone, after I graduated, I went to West Virginia to be a strength conditioning intern with the baseball team there under Kelly Cosgrove, who was also a great mentor to me. Then just kind of learning from there. I also at Clemson, so last summer I was at Clemson as well, interning with the strength and conditioning staff over there. Great staff over there. Learned a lot. They have a great internship program over there, so I learned a lot. And then that's kind of how I got here. One of the strength coaches at Clemson, who's also a former SIU alum, is a GA, Sam Oswego. Kind of got me here, and then told me about this position, and got here, and then it's been history ever since.
Well, as I kind of alluded to, you were a double major in college,
Yep.
and strength and conditioning was part of it, psychology the other.
Yeah.
Why was that kind of the choice you wanted? And as you kind of said, your path. So strength and conditioning is always kind of something you've wanted to do, but then the psychology piece of it, how that obviously helps you within your coaching role to be able to relate and also push athletes through some difficult times.
Yeah, I think that's kind of big. You mentioned it, the relate part of it. I'm still a young guy. I was just in these guys' shoes a couple of years ago. I'm only 25 years old, so I was in their shoes 3 years ago. Psychology part, that's kind of that's a big part of baseball, like the mental aspect of it, right? It's a game of failures. You always have to try to balance the two sides, like the physical and the mental part. That's kind of why I chose to be a psychology major. And that's just kind of why, as a pitcher, I wasn't denied played, so I understand the struggles going through the tough times and mentally battling through it and the physical part of it as well. So that's kind of why I chose to go the psychology route as well.
I mean, you got to tell the guys now, you never struggled. You struck out every guy. When you needed to get an out, you always got an out.
Yeah, they don't know that.
Yeah, just let them know that. I mean, even though you can still look up your numbers, just tell them that. That'll make them feel a little bit more pressure. I think that's your role, G. This year, with this team, when you're new, when you're coming in, there's of course a lot of newcomers that are coming in, with some returners as well to the program. Got a lot of experienced guys that have been journeymen within their college athletics careers. Regardless of whether there's a lot of journeymen on the roster, experience or not a lot of experience, how do you try to get to know the guys when you first meet them? What are things that you do early on, way back in August when you get here, of building that relationship, building that trust?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things is just sitting down and talking to them, getting to know them. Something I've learned over the years is just asking people questions about themselves, because people like to talk about themselves a lot. At least what I've learned. Just asking, hey, where are you from? Where's your family? Even since I'm so young, I actually know some of the guys that people play with in JUCO.
Yeah.
Griffin Cade has a couple of teammates that he played with in JUCO that I also played with in summer ball. So it's just making that connection right there, and getting to know people and making a connection between somebody and actually sitting down and talking to them and make them feel like you care about them.
You, with your experience, of course, have played. You've been a part of teams. What about this team specifically makes it a group that really enjoys being around each other from your seat?
I mean, yeah, these guys, they just like being around each other. You can always tell, even in the weight room, we always have good energy. These guys enjoy being around each other. They want to hang out with each other. Even in the hotel rooms on the weekends, when we travel somewhere, these guys are always in the rooms playing cards, doing whatever they're doing. They're always with each other. They just tell, they enjoy each other's company. So that's a great thing to have on a team.
The dynamics within a staff are so important. We have hinted at that a ton throughout the year, and we had JC on last week, where when you're in the strength and conditioning role, when you're in the training role, you would think that sometimes that always coaches get along with those staff members, but that's not always the case.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes coaches can have one view of how they see it. Sometimes the training staff can have a different view. Why do all of you really have an understanding for one another? I know that ultimately starts with Coach Rhodes. What about the respect factor for Coach Rhodes that he has for all of you guys to truly allow you to do your jobs, but also work with each other to understand there's goals that they want, and, of course, the guys ultimately want to get back on the field too?
Yeah, I think it's just a collective agreement. Like we're all of us are here for the players, right? Our goal is to make them the best players they can be, and me and JC's role specifically is to make them be able to play all the time. Like the way I look at it, I monitor stress. Like what I do is I'm putting stress on their body. I have to figure out a way to monitor it throughout the year, so it's not so much to where they can't play, be sore all game. And then JC is just making them healthy when they do get an injury, because injuries are bound to happen. You know, a long season, we play 60-plus games. Injuries are going to happen, so monitoring stress, Coach Rhodes does a great job at it. We always communicate with each other, making sure if guys are injured, monitoring stuff in the weight room for them, and JC, going to see JC. Yeah, we work, as a staff, we work pretty well together, communicating in that aspect.
You talked about monitoring stress. Well, you guys have been called the doubleheader dogs this year because there's been so many doubleheaders, but weekends have shifted so much. I mean, I think back to the Missouri State series, which didn't start till Sunday, play a doubleheader on Monday, which, of course, puts a lot of games with a short amount of time. What does that do in your role, G, of how you try to, when things do change a little bit last minute, where does that kind of put you in how you structure a weekend, what you do with guys, how to make sure you communicate what the schedule needs to look like? Like, take us into your shoes of when a weekend changes, when you know these doubleheaders could happen. What's the best way you do to try to approach it to help the guys out in the team in terms of whatever you structure?
Yeah, obviously that's not ideal. Doubleheaders are never ideal. Long days for players and coaches as well.
Speaking like a pitcher.
Hey, I've been a part of many doubleheaders in my career, but so the way I look at it, we try to stay to stress our schedule as much as possible. So we usually have Monday, Wednesday, Friday, everybody, all pitchers and hitters. A couple pitchers are on their own different schedule. A couple go Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday because of their start schedule, but obviously the start schedule has changed a little bit. The rotation has changed a little bit throughout the year. But the way I look at it, doubleheaders are a lot in their body, so sometimes we play a doubleheader on Sunday. On Monday we usually lift, so if we need to, sometimes I'll adjust like the sets and reps. Just I know what their bodies are going through, so I'll adjust the sets and reps. I might cut to something in half, like, hey, we're not going to do this today. I know you're a little sore, so we might just cut that in half. Also, I might spend a little time on the warm-up, just little things like that, just making sure that they're not overdoing it and making sure they're at their peak performance when they need to be.
Look, I can go through all of your profile numbers and bring up your stats as a pitcher, but what I have been told, what's been most impressive about you, G, since you've been here, is that I've heard there's nobody better at the MLB name game, that you are by far dynamite in that nobody can come close to that. Kind of explain the MLB name game for those that when they hear that, they're like, man, what's Luke alluding to? Like, what's the game that you're so good at? And I heard that it was really good over the weekend in Murray, Kentucky on Saturday.
Yeah, it's called the MLB name game. There's you can have up to probably 10 people. You can have as many people as you want. It's probably good for 5 though. So you have 5 people sitting around a circle, okay? I say a name like Ben Zobrist, okay? Good example. So the last name of the guy I start with, so I say Zobrist, the next guy has to come up with the first name that starts with a Z. So you can say Zach Gallen. You can say Zach, it just goes in a circle.
Yeah.
So the last name of the guy that you say has to be the first letter of the next guy. So it just goes around the circle until you can't name people anymore.
I've heard that, you just never lose at that game. Like, what? Is it just the wiring within you?
I grew up watching baseball all the time. My dad's a high school baseball coach, and he was a scout for a little bit, so I've always been around baseball. I played a lot of MLB The Show growing up as a kid. So I just kind of stuck in my head all the names, and I don't know.
That's what I mean. It can be current players, former players. It's anyone within the game.
Anybody that played a major league game. Yep.
That's pretty impressive, G. We maybe one of these days, we won't do it live on the show because I don't want that pressure, but maybe one of these days I can join in and see how long it can last. So
I'm sure you'll be all right.
What's the longest you've ever lasted? Can you even remember? What's...
I know when we took a flight to UTRGV, we played the whole flight. Back from Texas, we played the whole flight, and then at Murray on Saturday, we were waiting for the rain to low. We played all day. Yeah, that's probably the 2 longest I've ever played.
Now, if clearly I've heard that you're number 1. All right. Well, that's not even going to debate here on the show. Who would you say is close to you? Like, who would you say, man, like, I know it's going to be a challenge. Like you feel really good in your skill set, but, like, who's kind of nipping at your heels a little bit who can really compete with you?
Griffin Cado's definitely up there. He's got a lot of deep bag in the Toronto Blue Jays, big Toronto Blue Jays fan. Tyler Timmerman as well. He's a good guy. He plays a lot of MLB The Show, knows a lot of players. Those 2 are definitely giving me a run for my money, but we'll see if they can catch me.
This is what I really want to know. Has Lance Rhodes ever participated in the name game? Has he ever been asked?
I don't think so. We should ask him.
You know, like Coach Rhodes, he can kind of be a silent assassin now.
Yeah.
You know, may not like overly show his emotions, but he seems like he would be really good at that game.
He probably would.
Coach Rhodes, I apologize. I'm putting pressure on you, but at some point in time, we'll have to make that happen. Senior weekend this weekend. Of course, the last home weekend of the year before you guys head to the tournament. A lot of seniors on this roster. As we mentioned, it's been an experienced roster, especially guys. You think of Matt Schark. You even think of Cade Nelis, who's coming on the show. Jaxon Holder, who's had just a tremendous year. What about this senior class for you, G, are you going to remember the most? What these guys have meant to you, the relationships you built with them?
Yeah, the most I'm going to remember these guys just off the field. Like, this is like the first senior class I've had as a strength coach. Obviously, I'm a GA. This is like my first year having my own team. I remember, like, early in the fall, these guys, like, brought me in. They just welcomed me right away. They're really close. I'm really close with them as well. I travel every weekend. I see them every weekend, every day almost. So I'm definitely going to miss these guys, enjoy their hard work. They never really a day in the weight room. They don't have energy. Obviously, work out early in the morning, so sometimes they take a little bit to get going, but they usually bring it. So definitely going to miss them and appreciate all the hard work they've had the past couple of months.
And I know for players, there's probably no better feeling, but I know the series won to be won over the past weekend against Murray, but still this team is in a really good spot here in the final 2 weeks to pursue a conference championship, but also set themselves up for the best season that they can have come the conference tournament. Do you still kind of get those juices, G, of when you see the guys play in big games, the results that they have keep leading the bigger games of kind of gets that competitor juices that you have when you were a player still?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I'd say I'm pretty loud on the dugout. I'm obviously not, like, I can't, like, chat back with them like I used to, but I still get in there a little bit.
Hey, I will say this, though. It's a great thing when you're in the dugout. When I have to see you go down to the bullpen, you know, I prefer you not have to go down to the bullpen a lot, even though the bullpen's been really good lately for the Dogs. But when you're in the dugout, that means someone's cooking out there on the mound, and you don't have to stay down there in the bullpen for very long.
That's right. I hope we always can have one guy go 9 innings every game.
Yes, and if that is, you get all the credit.
Yeah,
G, you get all the credit. Man, it's been so great to get to know you this year, Gehrig. Really appreciate the time coming on by, and let's have some fun this weekend. Here's senior weekend in Carbondale, and let's make sure we can extend this thing here past the next couple of weeks. Appreciate you coming on, G.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
It is senior weekend this weekend in Carbondale, and that's why we're spotlighting the senior class here on Inside Saluki Athletics, presented by Poly Eyes of Carbondale. I have told this guy time and time again, I'm like, man, you know, it would just mean the world to me to be able to interview him. He's been one of my favorite guys ever since he's been here, and finally, he has agreed to come on the show.
Yeah.
And it's Cade Nelis joining us here on the program. Nelly, welcome to the show, man. It's good to have you on.
Thank you. Good to be here. An honor. Truly an honor.
I know, man. I know it's truly an honor. Senior year, man. What have the emotions been like for you this year, especially when you factor in you couldn't do much a year ago?
Sure.
It was a tough year for you a year ago. How has all of just the emotions been unwinding for you now, hanging in here to your last year?
It's been great. I mean, obviously last year was rough, just sitting around a lot. But we have a great group of guys this year. It's definitely very fun to be around. I think, you know, we all meshed really well together. All do a great job just creating good relationships since the fall. So it's been a lot of fun. Personally, like being the last year, sure. I mean, I've been in college for a long time, so it feels like it's just bound to end at some point. But it has been a lot of fun. I mean, I know myself and a lot of the other guys have been just trying to soak it all up, make sure, we have a great time, knowing full well that our time, we don't have that much time left, so we're just trying to enjoy it.
But you also want to make sure you can extend your time.
Of course,
with how this team has done this year. Take me back to last year, though, Cade, of just, man, how tough those type of years can be for you. What I was always impressed by was the attitude that you have here on the show today and how you even have this year when you're healthy. That's the attitude you had a year ago. You were a big, uplifting, high team chemistry guy. But you do that, I know it's still tough on the inside. How difficult was last year for you and the challenges you had to overcome?
Sure. I mean, some of it's fun. Like, I genuinely think it's fun to have to put in a lot of work and do a lot of things that I otherwise may not have been able to do. I mean, I look at setbacks, if you want to call it that. I think I learn a lot from those things, and I think those are really valuable. So although, yeah, there were times where sitting in the dugout and not being able to walk around too much was kind of difficult, but I really enjoyed it, and it was really a blessing to go through that and just be able to take the focus off myself and be around other guys. And other guys wouldn't look at me different for being in the dugout or not being able to walk around, being on crutches, whatever. But they just kind of, I was just one of them. Even if I had no chance of being on the field, we were still teammates no matter what. So it made it a lot easier and kind of lifted the burden off me of feeling like I was ostracized or anything. There was no feelings like that.
The beautiful thing is you have no gray hair. That's
Sure.
what's amazing. You've been in college baseball a long time, but your path, going the Lincoln Trail, then obviously Fort Wayne, back in the state of Indiana, and then you ultimately come here. What was it that drew you here to this program, Cade, when you think back of trying to decide of where you wanted to go once you left Fort Wayne?
Yeah, I honestly had conversations with some of my JUCO roommates that I thought this place was awesome. I thought Southern Illinois was awesome. That was the 2021 year. So after a great season, watching them just do phenomenal, I really, really enjoyed this place and thought everything that they did was awesome. And it just was kind of crazy how it all worked out. One of the first teams that reached out to me when I was in the transfer portal was Southern Illinois. And I, listened to other teams, listened to other pitches, but just kept going back to Southern Illinois. And there was something about the coaching staff, the history, not being too far from home, but far enough. And no matter what I would think, no matter who I'd talk to, I'd always come back to SIU. So then at a certain point, I was like, what am I doing? I got to just pull the trigger here. This seems like the spot to be. And then I'm so grateful that I was led in that direction, and I'm very grateful to be here. Very grateful that I've spent the last 2 years here, definitely.
Talk about the coaching staff. Of course, Coach Rhodes at the top of it. When you're meeting him for the first time, when you're getting to know him, what immediately connects for you that you're like, yeah, I can see myself playing for this guy?
I think above all, he's a great man. That's what I tell a lot of people, my parents, everybody that asks. I think he's just a really solid man, and it shows through immediately. That's something that I think is, especially with head coaches, you don't get a lot of back and forth with them all the time. But it shows through immediately where some others you might not be able to figure that out until later on, that he's just a good guy and he cares about winning a lot. He cares about all of us, definitely, but he cares about winning a lot and doesn't let his drive to win take away from his desire to, care about us and to look after us. And I think that's really special about him. But definitely first time coming in, I was like, man, this guy wants to win. That's sweet. That's what I came here to do. So
Culture is so important, and culture can somehow be talked about a ton at nauseum, where people hear that word and they'd be like, all right, everybody talks about culture. Sure. But when you're around the team this year, Cade, you could tell whether it's someone like yourself who, goes through BP. Think of you in your competitions with Cole Freeman and BP, which are a lot of fun. I think that's where fans should show up really early to see that, because that's entertainment on its own. We'll get to that in a moment. But there are so many of you guys that put in the effort, the work, and you do it without any sort of I mean, everybody wants to play, so I can't say you do it without any sort of frustration when you're not in the lineup, but you do it because you're like, hey, it's for the team. And whenever I'm going to get called upon, whether someone like Tate Lewis, you're going to perform when you get in there, just like you did when you had the opportunity at Indiana State just a couple weeks ago. Why has this team had that buy-in, Cade, of whatever your role is, wherever you see yourselves, it truly believes that everyone is supportive of that. And if their roles change, they understand it, and they still support that individual who may get put in a role that they once had.
I think it's twofold. I think you can attribute both to the coaching staff. They bring in a lot of great guys. I think that starts off a lot of things of a lot of these guys are going to work hard no matter what, and they'll buy in. I mean, we're all older guys, so we kind of understand the ebbs and flows and how things operate. So we all buy into that, and a lot of guys that are they're willing to just work. They're not upset about what position they may be in. Of course, that can cause some frustration, but they just want to put their best foot forward every day, and that's the message that gets further preached by the coaching staff is, to really just be the best you can be every day. And by focusing, we talk a lot about focusing on, the present moment, and I think that's something that everyone does a good job of and that we've all kind of accepted as our own, that each day if we show up and just, do what we can, then the chips will fall where they may, and we can accept that, definitely.
I don't want to, imply anything with this question, Cade, from your standpoint, but when you think of this team this year, what's different than a year ago? And Gray, there are a lot of things, as we mentioned, you were going through a lot of rehab and stuff last year, but still around the team a ton. And how would you describe just the differences of last year to this year, what separated this group to position itself to have a chance to compete for a championship and set yourselves up for what could be a really fun tournament here in a couple weeks?
Yeah, I think we had a lot of great guys last year, of course. But I think the way that we all interact is a little bit different. I think that there's an air of selflessness among everyone that I haven't seen on any team I've been on. I mean, a lot of guys, nobody really cares about their own performance. Especially, I'm around the starting 9 position players more consistently than the pitchers, obviously. And those guys, nobody cares about their own performance. I mean, they have a good game, we lose, they're not happy. They have a bad game, we win, they're in a great mood. And I think that's very telling that we have guys that are happy about the team's performance and will put that above their own individual performance.
The other side, Cade, what I've seen too, is even, let's take this past weekend against Murray State as an example, how the first game went on Sunday was about as gut-wrenching as you could have it. Yet turn right back around and, man, just keep throwing haymakers and pushes out what was a huge win to end that series. Why does this team, regardless of emotion, Missouri State, another great example, lose a heartbreaker in the doubleheader game, a game that's kind of going back and forth in the second, Lim hits the walk-off for a big fashion. How does this team just keep bouncing back up, throwing haymakers, in regards of where it may seem like, gosh, this team's not necessarily in a great spot, yet turns it around, the game comes back and fights back? What do you contribute that to? What's an attribute that this team has that allows them to do that?
Yeah, I mean, we just don't falter. We don't take – I think we all have a good perspective on baseball that it's very important to everyone, but it's not our identity. And I think being that way, we can just accept what happens and then move right forward. When it's our identity, it's very difficult to, if there is a tough game like that, it really sticks with us. And, we feel terrible about ourselves. And then it's really hard to perform in the next game. But being as we are, we can lose a game and we don't feel like we're terrible human beings because we lost a game. So then we can go right back in our self-confidence and everything is right up to par and we're fine to go on to the next one. I mean, I think that's a huge reason why we're so successful in doubleheaders. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. Feels like every doubleheader we're going to take both because we aren't fazed by the first game. and then we can show up for the second game like it's the next day.
And it says a lot about the team this year where you haven't been swept at any point in time this season, and even on doubleheader days, you've either won both or you've at least split them, which, again, I think goes to what you were just saying, Cade. All right, let's get to your competitions with Cole Freeman.
Okay, yeah.
Like, I could see these being pretty intense. Now, I'm not necessarily going to fact-check you here, but who's kind of ahead in the competition, and, like, how did these, we'll say friendly competitions, start in BP between you and Cole?
I'm not quite sure when they started. I'm not quite sure. I mean, it had to have been going on for a month now. But, I mean, we show up to BP and we're trying to have a good time. I mean, we definitely put in the work. But if we're going in knowing that we're probably not going to be in the starting line, we're going to have a good time. We're going to have a great time. And when we prepare for the game. I want to just throw that out there to protect ourselves a little bit. We do prepare for the game if we are in the starting nine, but if not, we do prepare very well beforehand, but then when it's on the field, I mean, just try to let it rip. So I want to say when conference play started, when it started warming up, when the ball would actually fly a little bit more, like, man, we should just keep count of our home runs and see who wins. And I can't say who is ahead and who's behind, because, there's not supposed to be any past game talk.
Oh, okay.
But, of course, I'm going to say that I'm ahead. And I think the stats would back that up. I think I am ahead.
I was going to say, Cade, I've said so many times whether you come in the pinch hit, you're in the game, it's like, man, this guy, like, he takes everything seriously now. When you were like, man, we just like to have a good time, BP. It's like, hey, don't take me back on my word now, Cade Nelis. Let's do that. But it is a lot of fun. And you have to have those type of relationships, Cade, to go throughout a year. And I'm sure that's probably what makes your senior year, your last year here really special, is just the relationships with a guy like Cole. You're going to remember those moments here after this year.
Definitely. It's a lot of fun. I mean, I've obviously been a lot of places, played baseball, especially in college, for a long time. So I've been able to develop a lot of relationships with guys, and I think this year I've been able to, like, really deepen a lot of relationships. Oftentimes we go our separate ways, and then it's, hard to keep in contact. I think this year's a lot of guys that it'd be very easy to continue to keep in contact with. I mean, a lot of guys that are really special to be around, really enjoyable, and nobody puts themselves on a pedestal above anyone else. I mean, we are all one team, all equals, and that makes creating strong relationships really easy.
I know a regular season championship would mean a ton for the program, but ultimately everybody wants to try to get back to an NCAA regional, which of course hasn't happened here at SIU since 1990, Cade. What would it mean to you to be a part of a team that goes to Bloomington Normal, that plays at Duffy Bass Field for the conference tournament in a couple weeks? I know there's 6 games here left in league play before then. I understand there's more in front of you than that. But what would it mean to you, and as a senior, to be a part of this class with Schark and Jaxon, who we have coming on the show as well, of just, we were able to break the drought. We were able to get this program back to where all of you guys know it should be and where it should belong on a regular basis.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be awesome. That's first and foremost. I think to look around and play at a massive school, wherever it may be, in front of a bunch of fans is, I mean, things that people dream of. And, as a kid, that's awesome. Just go sit and look around the stands, be at an amazing field. That'd be unbelievable. And I think it would be really helpful for the program as well. I mean, we all care about the school, and we all have had great times here, so we care about their future success and how things go. And we know what going to a regional means. We know what moving on to the postseason means for the school and for its future and for the future of the baseball program, that it would definitely push it in the right direction, and there's nothing more helpful than moving on to that postseason.
No question. First things first, senior weekend with the Purple Aces starting on Friday night at 6. Cade, appreciate the time. You coming by. You're always one of my favorites.
Thank you.
Appreciate you, brother. And
we appreciate all you do, Luke. Very much appreciate it.
Enjoy senior weekend, Cade. We appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Continuing coverage here on Inside Saluki Athletics, presented by Poly Eyes of Carbondale. So great to see the smiling face again. Jaxon Holder, senior weekend continues for the Salukis. Jaxon, of course, having an outstanding senior year here in Carbondale. Jaxon, welcome back. Good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
Wow. I mean, when we caught up with you earlier in the year, Jaxon, I know at that time it was still, kind of early. There was still a lot of baseball left. Now, here we are, month of May, everything to play for this team here the rest of the way. How much has that meant to you in your senior year that as you get down to the closing stretch, these final games, not everybody gets the opportunity where every game feels like it's massive. It really is for you guys in the work that this team has put in this year.
Sure, yeah. I mean, you always set out at the beginning of the year. You always have a goal, win the league, win the tournament, get to the postseason. But to actually be at the end of the season and have every single game matter, you really can't ask for anything else. It's crazy. Like you were saying, before we started, it feels like, just a couple weeks ago, we were in here the first interview and it's already the end. So, I mean, just having every single game means something here, coming down to the wire, and really still having a chance to win the league in the regular season, put ourselves in a good position for the tournament is you really can't ask for anything better.
I really want to put this in perspective for our fans. It was one of the areas I talked about with you over the weekend in Murray, and numbers are numbers, right? In baseball games, I mean, you can characterize whichever way you want. But you had 10 hits total in your career prior to this season, Jaxon. And already, I mean, you've almost, I think, surpassed already 40 hits on the year. There's a lot of other numbers that have obviously improved this year. It has been a career year for you. When this year started, what was your belief level? Because I know you are a man of high faith. You're a man of faith. What were kind of your internal expectations that you had for yourself coming into the year?
Yeah, I honestly didn't expect to do much in terms of on the field. I knew that I would kind of be a plug-and-play kind of guy, different matchups. I know there's different guys that I would do really well against and probably get some spot starts here and there, a lot of pinch hits, defensive replacements. I've always been a defensive guy, so I know I could help out in that respect. But then, early on when I got the opportunity and kind of just took advantage of it and ran with it, I was thankful to continue to get those opportunities because I feel like as I saw more pitches, as I got more at bats, more games under my belt, it honestly just got easier and easier. Not that the game of baseball is easy, but truly, the more comfortable you get, and that you show up to the yard and you're not wondering, okay, am I in the lineup? Am I not? You kind of just get to go about every day the same way. You get into a little bit of a routine. That's kind of what I've felt. I'm just thankful to be helping us win games.
How you are on the show here is exactly how you are at the BP cage within games. And what I've seen with you this year, Jaxon, not that I didn't see it a year ago, but, man, when you step to the field, when you got the bat in your hands, there is just a confidence level about you that is – it's really hard to describe. It's at an extreme level. It's like, yeah, there's no doubt this guy knows that he's supposed to be here in this moment to perform. Is it a different feeling this year? Do you feel there's just more of a, whether it's confidence, whatever you want to put a word on it as, have you seen where you're like, man, I just like what I'm portraying this year when I'm on the field, maybe more than years past?
Sure, yeah, I think part of it is an experience thing, right? Being in school for 4 years and even not having played much the first 3, just being around the game, being one of the older guys. There's something that comes with that. But it also does come with, like you said, my faith is probably the number one thing that attributes to that. I know that I can come to the yard, I can come have fun and play a game that I'm blessed to play. I've been given the ability to play with guys that I love. That means more to me than the result. And so I just get to go into the box every single at-bat, every game, with the goal of doing my absolute best, just trying my best. And the guys on the team have embraced that, where we show up and we are honestly just trying our best in everything that we do to give our best effort, because the results are going to be what they may. And I can look back at the end of the day and go 0 for 4, but if I gave my best, I can be okay with that and know that I gave glory to the one who gave me the ability to play in the first place.
There has been some great highs, and there's obviously been some lows, and even that can happen within a weekend. Murray State, great example of the first game on Sunday, looked like in prime position to come back and win that game. It, of course, doesn't happen. but you turn right back around and waste no time, and you get an 11-0 win in Game 2. What do you believe, Jaxon, leads this team to always have that belief, we're going to come back and win this thing, we're going to be able to bounce back, even if that's a tough loss now. No one wants to experience that, but we're going to be okay. Like, what has allowed this group to embody that throughout the year?
Yeah, we're aware that we're a late game team. I make that clear. People watching are probably like, man, these guys, they don't do anything the first 6 innings, but 7th inning rolls around and they start going. We're aware of that. We joke about it, and honestly, we would love to put games away early. We just haven't done it yet, but thankfully we are a later game team, and that can be helpful. I think like you said, there just is a belief that every single game we believe that we're going to win. Even if we're down, 5 going into the 7th, we genuinely believe that we have the ability on offense to come back and win, and we believe in our pitching staff. I think when you look back at the work that we've put in the fall, early spring, inter squads, and we know the talent and the ability that we have as a team. And early on, there was some struggles with some guys trying to pull too much of the rope, some guys trying to maybe go for individual success and maybe not having that chemistry as a team. But I think the chemistry that we've built, not only on the field but off the field, like we spend so much time together off the field together that when we get walked off on, Sunday, we get walked off in a tough game. In between games, we're hanging out in the dugout laughing. It's light. It doesn't feel heavy. Yeah. That game's behind us. We're going ahead and looking forward to having a good game. So I think that chemistry you can't really put it into words, but chemistry is probably the best thing that I could describe it as.
It may be a similar question to what I asked you early on in the year, but when you think of this group, I think there's always moments where a team figures out, either collectively as a group or whether it's individually, like, I think we have what it takes. Like, there's just that moment where this is the moment where I know that we can push through a lot. Has there been that moment this year, Jaxon, at all that you can remember? Maybe it's not one, maybe it's multiple, but when you went through it, you were like, yeah, I have no doubts that we can be the team that we have all thought we could be and set out to be at the start of the year.
Sure, yeah. I mean, it takes good players to be a good team, right? You can't just, have a good attitude and have the intangibles and not be good. So I think looking at our team, if you just look at us, like, we have really good players. So that to me is the first thing. But not only are we good players, I think we play really well together. And I'm trying to think back. The first weekend of conference play, we lost the first game to UIC, and that was a little bit of a punch. And then we came back and had to walk them off twice. Yeah. So when I look back at that weekend specifically, that's where I was like, okay, we got punched, and then we came right back. 2 tough games. It was a tough series. But to be able to take that series and kind of take the load off of guys who maybe never played in a conference game, didn't realize that, like, every conference game is a tough game. That was something we had talked to some of the guys about prior. It's like, guys, it's not like non-conference. For some reason, every conference game seems like it's a grind because it means a lot. So that, having gone through that weekend and having walked them off twice, being able to move on from that, for some reason that weekend sticks out in my mind. I was like, okay, we've got the ability to do something here because, really, if you look back on it, we maybe shouldn't have won one of those games that we walked off, but we just, again, we had the resilience, and I think that just speaks to our team.
I know you guys have called yourselves the doubleheader dogs this year, and when you think of those doubleheaders, off the top of my head, I'll have to factually correct it, which I'm sure someone will factually correct me here live on the show, is I think only the Bradley weekend where you had a doubleheader. Every other doubleheader has at least featured one extra inning game on that day. The UIC, 20 innings of baseball that day. Yep. I mean, those are already long days, but as you've described, like, this team this year just has that, whether it's, hey, we got to get it going late, or even games where you get off to good starts and can't quite necessarily, close it out, there's never that, like, here we go. Right. Like, you guys immediately pick yourself back out. I think a lot of it is just the fellowship within the team, and you're, of course, a huge part of that. Why would you say the fellowship on this team may be different than years past or teams you've been a part of?
Yeah, I would say so. I would say there's just and I kind of mentioned it before, there's a emphasis on being together off the field and not just being teammates but being friends. Like, we genuinely love one another. We love hanging out together. We love going out for dinner. When we're on off days, a bunch of us go play golf. Me, Gabe Petroselli, we call him Petro, Mylot, and Schark have been doing a scramble. And me and Petro are down 0-2 in the series right now in golf scrambles on off days. So I'll give a shout out to Mike and to Schark for their golf ability. But just stuff like that, man. It's like you can't. I don't know if you can have a good team if you don't love one another.
Yeah.
And I think it's just happened organically. There's been nothing that we've been like, okay, we've got to build this in order to be good. It just happened organically because we have such a great group of guys.
All right, Jaxon, be honest with me now. I need you to be an analyst. So what's holding your golf game back right now? Like if it's Petro, like you can put him on blast here. I mean, he's not on the show. Like is it the short game? Are you good off the tees? Is it struggling off the tees, but the short game is strong? Like where is the weak link right now that Schark and Mylot are really exposing you guys?
So what we've noticed is that Schark and Mylot play unbelievable complementary golf. Petro and I do not. So like 3 weeks ago, Petro and I went out and played golf, and we both shot some of the better rounds we'd ever shot. And we were like, dang, dude, like we could beat anybody. So then we challenged Mike and Schark to a scramble, and they get out there, and Mike would shank one, and we're like, okay, we're good. And then Schark would hit one 300 yards down the middle. Well, me and Petro, like we might hit 2 great shots, but then we're both hitting a bad one on the next shot. So both of us were struggling, and we didn't have that complimentary thing going. Our biggest struggle, I think, right now was just chipping around the greens, because we could both get it up there, but I might put us, 15 feet out, and I'm all right, Petro, shoot one in there, and then he's gonna sail it. It's like, okay, well, so we're struggling in that respect. But hey, next off day, maybe we gotta find a way to get it done.
I know. Well, when I was at practice the other day, not that I like to describe Schark and Mylot as very, I guess, outspoken guys, but they were very out front about how they were, I think, 3-0, 2-0 against you guys, and can't remember the other tandem.
They play well together, man.
They
just
play well
good
together. But I hope the next time we get an update from you that it's no longer a goose egg for you and Petro.
Yep.
I'm putting a lot of pressure on you guys, by the way.
That's all right.
Get it turned. This weekend, Evansville at home. When you get down to 6 games left, you can't really look at it as, 6 games left. You got to take it game by game. Where is this group shown that the game-by-game approach is what you guys do very well, and how that's really going to be important here down the stretch, and not get so caught up in what other games and other scores are throughout the league? It doesn't matter what other games do. We have to take care of our business here at home, Jaxon.
Sure. Yeah, and when you look at the 6 games we have left, it can be really easy to say, well, there are 2 teams that are closer to the bottom of our league, right? I mean, you have Evansville and Valparaiso who are closer to the bottom. And that can be easy to say, okay, well, that's 6 wins right there. We can just go into the tournament rolling. But really, that's, again, like I said, every conference game is a grind. It really is, no matter who it is. And I think that's something that this team has realized, and they won't take this lightly. Evansville's got some good arms and some good players that can shock you if you're not ready. So I think not looking too far ahead, looking too far into the tournament, and just realizing, and Rhodes has said it multiple times, but we really do kind of control our own destiny in a way. With the schedule that we have left and with what other teams have left, we do control our destiny in some respect, where if we just win the games that are in front of us, we put ourselves in a really good spot. So that feels good going into the end of the season, knowing that you kind of have the ability to put yourself where you want to be.
Jaxon, congratulations, man, on the year you've had, but the best part is there's still more to come for you and the group. Enjoy senior weekend this weekend, and I know this won't be the last interview we have this year. We appreciate it, Jaxon.
Thank you.
This has been Inside Saluki Athletics, presented by Paulie Eyes of Carbondale. The preceding has been a Learfield presentation on the Saluki Sports Network.